Ladies and gentlemen, you're very welcome to Off the Ball Live at the Camden with thanks to Paddy Power. On stage tonight, we've got legends of the racing and football world. Kenny Cunningham, Stephen Hunt, Katie Walsh, Johnny Murtagh, Frank Hickey and Paddy Power himself. But first, give it up for a Connacht pair whose form always looks good, Johnny Ward and Nathan Murphy.
Good evening Dublin, how are we all doing? Brilliant to be here in the Camden. What a venue.
It looks amazing. I've had a few Saturday nights here, it must be said. Nice to see a place for the first time. Bad start.
That, I'm told, is the biggest screen in all of Ireland. I was fearful that we may be on that screen.
No.
Because I've heard it adds... Generally it adds £10, but I'm a bit worried about the size of that screen. I've got to be quite honest.
It looks amazing.
So we got a brilliant night lined up. We are, 6 days away from the start of the Cheltenham Festival.
If it happens.
It will happen, Johnny.
To like a 2-to-1 shot.
Let's not get into that right now. Let's not get into that right now. What's your biggest Cheltenham winner?
Down the years.
Because as anyone who listens to Off the Ball on a regular basis, who listens in on Friday night racing, they'll know that Johnny record is, well, not quite stellar of recent.
A lot of people have died since it. Sublimity in 2000 and anyone 2000 and Sublimity 2006 maybe.
What odds?
Oh, 2006 was the year of Golden Cross and Johnny Murtagh.
Oh, we'll get on to that.
Sublimity was about 60-1. I was working for the Sunday Indo at the time.
Did you tip it up?
I did, yeah.
More of that good stuff coming a little bit later on. We are going to look ahead to Cheltenham. We've got Katie Walsh here. Johnny Murtagh is in the house. Frank Hickey and Paddy Power are going to be with us. And in a couple of moments' time, we will have Kenny Cunningham and Stephen Hunt, because there's a lot going on in the football world as well. But we are here with thanks to Paddy Power. And this, of course, is a land, Johnny, where sporting glory at times has been hard to come by. But Cheltenham is our Champions League, and Ireland, it turns out, has a team of Zinedine Zidane's. Or Jack Burns in your language. Yeah,
we basically kicked our ass in Cheltenham. We'll probably win the champion, or have more winners than them again this year. But it's like the government gives us an awful lot of money towards it. It's put to good use. And we have the best jockeys, the best trainers, and the best horses. And they stay in Ireland now, so we're basically kicking ass.
That is the end of the party political broadcast for right now from Johnny Ward. If you want to get in touch, use the hashtag OTBTheCamden. For more information on responsible gambling, visit dunlewy.net. But we're going to get our first guest out. Before we get into the Cheltenham chat, though I think they may have a couple of Cheltenham stories as well, please give it up for two Republic of Ireland legends, Kenny Cunningham and Stephen Hunt.
Stuck in the middle.
Thank you. Gin and tonic, is it, Hunty?
Is that okay with you, Nate?
Yeah, that's fine. Here, whatever.
I was looking around trying to see any other bloke drinking a gin, but...
No, whatever makes you comfortable.
That lady back there is drinking, I think, Steve. It's the only other one.
Fine. Keep them well, lads.
We're quite comfortable here, yeah.
I suspect you're a regular Cheltenham visitor, you not so much.
No,
I got that wrong. Have you been?
No.
It's going to be a long couple of hours.
I was in the Midlands for a few years. I must admit, every year there was that stampede of coaches, and huge amount of Irish support would land at Birmingham Airport and drive past the house on the way down to Cheltenham. But I just kind of waved them on their way.
You've managed to blag yourself into the Paddy Power box again this year.
Well, when you feed the family, when he comes down to Rosslare in the summer, there's a method in my madness. So, Paddy, you eat and drink away, and then around mid-February, I give Paddy a call and say, how are you doing? And any chance I can get in the box. But it's getting more like all my clients are coming with me now, so more and more footballers are hopefully going to come in the box.
What sort of clients are these now?
They are all footballers of ladies or gents, for sure. But no, listen, I'm actually a big fan of Cheltenham, team bonding, having a bit of fun.
Well, footballers at Cheltenham don't have the best reputation, it's got to be said.
Well,
for winning races or
for other stuff.
So for a few years back, there was some stupid footballer decided to piddle on the balcony. Well, I was in the Paddy Power box the next day, and of course, Paddy had me holding a sign, piss-free zone. And of course, Paddy put it out on social media. I'm just waiting for the coronavirus to hit Paddy Power this week and see what happens next week.
See what the odds are.
Yeah.
We're trying to and we're going to talk about the sort of Ireland-England rivalry over the next little while in terms of Cheltenham and the Irish representation going, and we're trying to hook it around you two lads and talking about that pride of representing your country. Kenny's giving me the eyes going. Myself and Stephen Hunt had nothing in common. But you were talking about your debut a little bit earlier on and a little bit of going back in time. Stephen Hunt made his debut that night against San Marino. What was so close to our greatest ever sporting humiliation was the greatest night of your life.
Oh, that was my first touch that I missed the sitter. It actually hit the post.
So this is Ireland are 1-0 up. There's about 15 minutes left.
Yeah, but I wasn't expecting Paul McShane and Henderson to come colliding 10 minutes later, may I add. Obviously, from that angle, it looks horrendous, but it did come at me fast. And I should have scored, which would have been my first touch as well.
In fairness,
it's on your weak left foot as well. Cut a bit of slack. Or is that your strong one? I don't.
Look at Robbie trying to nick my goal, look.
Jesus, it sort of set a precedent, didn't it, for Robbie and the Hunt family?
Yeah, stop, we won't go there.
That's like Stan's rain in one photo, isn't it? Robbie's kind of falling into you and you're just about to hit the post from 3 yards. Like.
Yeah, okay, can we change the graphic, please? Or bring me a shot.
that night, because, listen, everybody out here would have dreamed of playing for Ireland. It's meant to be this, when you think about it as a kid, it's this magical thing. You don't think about it being this almost humiliation in San Marino. Did that take away from it?
To be honest, when we went 1-0, I was a bit like, oh my good God, what's going on here? And then they were relying on me on a long throw for a Kevin Kilban flick on for Stephen Ireland to score, actually, yeah. And obviously more relief than anything else. I remember coming off the pitch going, to be fair, Stan was getting pelters, left, right and centre. And of course, he didn't have a response to it because his communication skills weren't up to the level of Mr. Cunningham here. And having said that, I did get... My home debut was spectacular. Croke Park, having played hurling and football for years, to come on and play for Ireland in soccer at Croke Park against Wales, and to get the reception I got was pleasing.
That was what, 10 minutes at the end? Off the pitch, everybody, you're the hero, you're the man.
Do you know what, right? I come here tonight with good intentions, not to fall out with you, okay? So we're going to go with standing ovation.
Standing ovation. Up, right? No, I'm getting the standing ovation. The whole family there, like, had the family gone to San Marino?
Pardon?
Had the family gone to San Marino to watch you make your debut?
A few had gone, but listen, I remember singing Wonderwall the night before, and I'm a terrible singer, and having to stand up in front of all the boys, all the legends that I'd watched for years play, and it was terrifying. But it is what it is, and trying to paint a picture here, San Marino, guys, there's not much.
Like, how terrifying is it being in that moment where it's like it's 1-1 here, we have literally a few minutes to get this sorted out?
To be honest, I couldn't really give a sugar at the time because I was in a flow of playing good football for my club. I'd come to make my debut at 25 years of age. I was happy to be there and to make the most of it and had no fear. Would you agree? When you're on a roll, you don't see fear. It wasn't me going to be getting pelter, so I was...
And when you came in from, like, so you were playing really, really good club football, did you know in that dressing room that there's something not quite right here? Because why are you like 1-1 in San Marino? Was there something about Stan that like just wasn't right? Why did it go so wrong?
No, because I was fresh to it and I wasn't involved in the whispering to a certain degree inside the camp, and I was keeping myself out of all politics to do with anything, only just to be there, to play, keep my head down and play good football.
And hit the post.
And to be fair, I should have scored it, generally. It was my first touch.
The photo's a bit misleading.
It's terrible. Looked horrendous. When he said to me earlier, I think, your first touch or whatever, you could have scored. Oh, no, please tell me you don't know that. Like,
there it is.
Yeah.
What was your initiation? Was there a song?
At the Crazy Gang, actually.
We've
gone way back.
Diverted away from international.
Probably a better initiation.
Now, my experience was probably a little bit different. That was your first game, Steve, was it?
Yeah.
San Marino, yeah. So I had an easier transition. It was a friendly international sometime in the 90s, mid-90s potentially. Czech Republic away, that was it. It was the year we failed to qualify for the 96 Euros in England. It was the last squad under Jack Charlton. Jack had left, and then Nick had come on board, and he begun the transition, brought a lot of the younger players in, but similar to Stephen, I was only probably mid-20s, 24 years of age. But a number of those older lads were still around. Ray Houghton, Andy Townsend, Big Paul, Dennis Irwin, a number of those players. And that made the transition a lot easier on a load of different levels, because it was a big step up for the players. Even at 24, I would have been very nervous joining the squad. I know you said you had very little nerves, but I did. probably one of the most nervous times I had in football, making me debut in the Czech Republic. And that was a friendly game. It was a bit of a nothing game, very few people there. But I really felt in the dressing room before the game, kind of the nerves, and really having to work overtime, not to kind of hyperventilate and just let the whole occasion get the better of me. But it was a magnificent experience. Those older players really made it a lot easier. The likes of Andy, Ray, who could very easily have maybe put some distance between themselves and us. We were younger players coming into the squad, maybe taking the places of their teammates who they'd played with for maybe 5-10 years. So it would have been very easy for them maybe to distance themselves from us, but they didn't. They really integrated us into the squad. And I think the fact it was an away game in the Czech Republic, after the game, of course, there was no distractions, family members and people coming, and the whole squad being fragmented. We were all there together. So after the game, we were out into the town and had a good night together, and that kind of really kind of brought everybody together as it does. You know, good quality time in each other's company. So very quickly, the whole thing pulled together and kind of gelled, and it was a wonderful experience. I don't remember any 2-yard sitters during the game that I missed.
Were you humble because you're in Paul McGrath, all these great players, and you're sharing the dressing room with them? It's like...
Yeah, I shared most of the bar that night with Paul after the game. I must have missed about 3 in the morning. Yeah. I had my pioneer badge, sat with Paul at the bar. But I couldn't stay away from him because Paul would have been a huge... I suppose I don't have heroes in football, but Paul would have been somebody I really looked up to as a footballer. Not just a footballer, how he kind of carried himself. Paul, as everybody know, what you see is what you get. He's a very modest lad, very humble. So you kind of drawn to those type of people. His ability was exceptional. So to have the opportunity to spend a bit of time with him, even after the game, sat at the bar having a drink together, was pretty amazing. Like, I don't think he was too impressed with me ordering gin and no tonics, is it?
Tonic.
Gin and yeah, tonic water, but it was a great experience. So it's something I'll always remember.
You probably didn't get to spend much time on the training pitch with it, I imagine, at that stage. He wasn't doing much training, he was just playing the matches. Was it more tapping into his mentality?
Yeah, not so much that really. Paul wasn't one for putting himself on people. As everybody will know, like, everybody knows him as well as me. Paul's a very shy character, so he wouldn't put himself on people. You'd have to kind of seek him out. And he wasn't the most opinionated. Wouldn't talk football a huge amount. Just a very grounded individual, very decent lad. So, yeah, it was just great to spend time with him. And a small little bit of nugget of information you'd get off him. My second game I played with him at Wales. Nobody would remember in this room. Again, it was a playoff game, friendly game. It was 0-0 in Cardiff. It was a miserable evening. There was nobody at the game. It was a dreadful game, but I played next to Paul in a back four, and it was great. I really enjoyed the experience, and Paul gave me information during the game. Not a huge amount, but that was great for me. So in terms of an education, I really kind of value that. So the conversation in the Czech Republic from a social perspective, in a bar having a drink together, and actually on the pitch in a competitive environment in the game against Wales, that was fantastic also. And Paul stepped away very quickly after that, unfortunately, but I'll always value those moments we had together.
Did we see the best of him as a player because he played in a style maybe that... Because he was a footballer. Like, I don't remember him playing much football. I remember him being a centre-back, but if he played under a different manager who understood he's like maybe or wanted to utilise all his talents.
Yeah. I always look to the room in terms of the age profile. You forget you're getting a little bit older. Now I'd be hitting close to 50. I'm looking at the faces. Now a lot of people would be younger than me.
A lot of men.
Yeah, a lot of the lads would be younger than me in the audience. So I'm wondering how many people can remember watching Paul on a regular basis at club level for probably Aston Villa, Derby, maybe not Manchester United. Anybody remember him playing for Manchester United? Probably not.
See, even in those days, it wasn't on TV that much, like, so you wouldn't see Villa play live very often when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's true, but I mean, Paul was exceptional. I don't think we actually value. A lot of people speak about Paul, how good he was, one of the best of his generation, but he really was. Paul could have played in any era, and if you think of the best centre halves now, Van Dijk, say for example, would be considered the best of his type at the moment, the best central defender in the world. But Van Dijk wouldn't have too many attributes for me in terms of his physicality, his athleticism, his technical ability. None of them would be head and shoulders above what Paul had as a player. Paul, in my opinion, would have been the equal of Van Dijk in a lot of respects. Actually wouldn't have Van Dijk's kind of that arrogance which Van Dijk has on the pitch, which actually serves him very well, but can actually catch Van Dijk out on occasions. That kind of bit of a godlike feeling that he has about him, the way he carries himself onto the pitch. A little bit too much overconfidence at times, I think, Van Dijk. Paul never had that, because of the humility that he had. He never possessed that. But in terms of his skill set, Paul was up there, for me anyway. He's up at, I don't know how you feel, but he's on a very similar level to Van Dijk. And maybe people of a certain generation don't appreciate it, hear how good he was. But if you saw Paul play on a regular basis, he was an absolutely phenomenal football player and could have played in any era, in any of the greatest teams, whether that's the Milan team in the 80s, the Barcelona team under Guardiola of the last 10 years. Any of those teams, Paul was good enough to play, and he was that good.
That integration he talks about, Stephen, when you go into the squad at first, like that was pretty much a horror time for the Republic of Ireland those couple of years under Staunton. Did you find that? Was it still personally an enjoyable time? Were you welcomed into the group?
Yeah, you go in and you try and figure out who's the presence in the dressing room. So Paul would have been a presence in terms of a character and a player for sure. But you go in and you think, okay, at the time Duffers would have kept himself to himself, but still had that aura about him. Well, actually, you're going to respect this guy because he ain't upsetting you. He's just going about his business, and he's a presence, and obviously he's a class player. Like Robbie would have been another one that always had a presence because he just goes up to score goals for fun and goes around the dressing room. There would have been one or two that you look on and you think, okay, you'll have conversation with them, you'll try and engage with them because they're on your level and you want to show the respect for, I'd say 95% of the time with me. The time I'd lose respect is when I didn't mind losing respect was on the pitch, because you go to war, even if you're training, you're still playing against them to get your place. You try and take it serious. No matter, even if he was playing in my position, I would still go after him and try and get in his position for sure.
Because that's probably different to a lot of players. And so we had James McLean in studio about a month ago, and this came up when I was putting it to him. There's a lot of young, exciting players. Is he getting worried about them coming through, trying to take his place, or do you put the arm around the shoulder of the next generation? And he was going back to when he was trying to take your place, and he said that you made life as uncomfortable as possible for him.
Yeah.
That he really didn't enjoy it.
No, at the time, I think I would have said what people were thinking. Just to think, well, actually, he's going to come into the squad. He come in with a presence and he come in with a determination to do well, of sure. James Lean has always been like that way. But at the time, he was a young chap finding a bit of success. And I could hear whispers. And, typical, I was the one to say to him, listen, James, respect everything that goes with it, but not meant in any kind of nasty way. In a way that I'm saying what people are thinking. Now, I remember Robbie brought me down a peg or two when I came into the chat. I actually said something to Robbie in training one day, and he had a go at me, and I took it. I thought, actually, maybe I'm a cheeky shit sometimes.
What did you say to him?
No. Definitely no. So it happens. You just got to get on. And now I remember having a conversation with James 2 or 3 years ago at a charity ball.
Yeah, he said up at the Ryan McGrath.
And I had 2 or 3 gins as well, so it wouldn't have helped. So I actually said to him, listen, if I offended you at the time, I'm sorry. It wasn't meant to be in a horrible way. It was meant to be a case of, well, actually, calm yourself down. You've just come in the squad, get on with your work, and do it. Now, in fairness, I was rallied a week before that. I think a TV guy on TV had said, my son wants to see James McLean playing at the Euros. And I was struggling with injury, so I was on the back foot with James anyway. So maybe that was a build-up of me being frustrated I was injured, and then James coming on the scene. I get that, but he was coming in with attitude at the time, and I'll keep it for the book.
I thought, in fairness, his interview with you, he's a very he's a character that would inspire you, and that like footballers nowadays, they just seem to have tattoos, and they don't seem to have any like real proper idea of life or whatever. And he actually has an opinion, and he gets absolutely vilified for it.
100% love James McLean on the pitch, how he goes about it. Off the pitch, I get on with him. I don't know him that well, to be honest with you. But on the pitch, what you see is what you get. And you can only respect that. And I'm probably similar to James, how I went about it on the pitch. So maybe there is a bit of a personality clash that we actually play the same way, pretty similar. But
I think that's the same as any working environment. Everybody experiences it here when people come together, whatever work environment it is, an office environment or football like yourselves. You naturally gravitate towards certain people. You have things in common, whatever it is, kind of background, personalities. Other people, not so much. I think it's important, as you would do it yourselves anyway, you kind of make the effort. The only thing in an office environment at times, when the bell goes, you go home. You don't have to be surrounded by these people 24/7. Football environment can be a little bit different. You can be travelling away from home in hotels. You can be away for a week, 10 days. So it's important then you can't allow these little frictions to kind of manifest these kind of bad feelings. So I think you do have to make an effort to kind of pull the whole group together. That's where the kind of senior players play their role. I'm a little bit surprised that I didn't realise that story between yourself and James. I never experienced anything like that during my time with the squad, probably because you weren't in it. But I don't know what it was. It was almost like a subconscious thing amongst the players when they came into the group. Everybody felt how special it was, how privileged they were to be there. So kind of everybody subconsciously made the effort to kind of pull the group together. I don't remember any people kind of pulling in the opposite direction. If there was any friction there.
See, Kieran Bradley's piece in Off the Ball this week, when you were at Wimbledon, and when you went into that system, and if you're anyway shy or reserved or...
Which I was.
So how do you, like, I don't know, has anyone seen the Crazy Gang documentary? Like, one of the best documentaries ever, and John Fashanu comes across as, honestly, one of the greatest assholes of all time. But that was it, like, and you had to go in there and you either, you got through it or you just shrunk.
Yeah, but I'd never quite attached myself to that Crazy Gang. The lads are aware of the Crazy Gang that John would have been talking about it when Vinny, John, Fashanu, Laurie Sanchez, a lot of these lads. I came just a little bit at the tail end of that. So it was kind of Crazy Gang life by the time I got there. So it was a little bit different. But you're right, it was a very unique kind of club in terms of how it operated. And a lot of kind of high jinks going on around the place. And I agree with you. I would have been very, very quiet individual, very shy in some respects when I went to the football club. But I was switched on enough to realise very quickly, I thought, if I'm going to survive in this type of environment, I kind of need to make a decision. I ought to take a big step back and kind of put some distance between myself and the dressing room, a bit like I was speaking a bit earlier, or I kind of maybe jump on board a little bit. I kind of open myself up a little bit in terms of personality and kind of join in. And that wasn't easy for me because I wasn't the most extroverted type of personalities then, maybe a little bit more now as you do as you get older. But it was almost a conscious decision. I remember having that thought process, I need to make a decision here if I'm really going to involve myself and be a part of it. And I did, and I'm glad I did because I really enjoyed my experience after that. And it was a kind of very unique experience at Wimbledon in terms of how the club really functioned. It was a very small club, lads. It was a tiny club, very small support base, no training ground. We trained on a public pitch. The horses probably half your...
My first year would have been watching... I moved to Crystal Palace and Wimbledon were in Selhurst Park. So I'd have watched you sweep up, read the game like Paul McGrath. Correct?
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, that'd be the only similarities I'd have with Paul. But yeah, but it was a funny old club. We didn't have our own ground. We rented Selhurst Park, like you're saying. But it was amazing. But it was the dressing room again. You're talking about the dressing room in Ireland. We're talking about. It's absolutely key. And I think any relative success that you have as a footballer, and you've probably had it yourselves. Anybody who's played schoolboy, maybe amateur league, somebody's played here in the room, and you enjoy some measure of success. It's not going to be winning titles or winning cups for the majority of players, but some measure of success, maybe finishing top 4, having a good run in the cup competition. You very rarely achieve that without having a dressing room that's kind of not together. And it does make it special, it really does. If you are lucky enough to go and achieve something in football, the international setup for me was kind of, there was a lot of bittersweet memories in international football. We came very close a lot of times and came up short, fell short. And that was tough to take. But eventually we made it to a World Cup in 2002. And that meant a huge amount. You know, we'd worked really hard for that. We felt as if we'd achieved something for ourselves, family, supporters, kind of the whole country. And it really made it special because the dressing room environment was special. We were really close to each other. There was genuine friendships within that dressing room that have lasted ever since. And it made the whole thing really special and kind of something we'll always kind of take with us. So it's that dressing room environment for me, which is what you miss the most. Players always speak about it. Where when you step away from the game, it's something which you miss most of all. But it's fantastically special.
Were you, throughout your career, Stephen, were you a little bit paranoid about people trying to take your place? Like, do you think that brought the best out of you? At club level, would you have been like that I'm not going to let this guy step in?
Listen, the James McLean comments is way different to how I was. When people in the senior squad develop and have their opinion on the situation when James come in. They'll tell you the situation. But from a personal point of view, I would say I was one of the best team players you could have because I always encouraged, even if I didn't like the person and thought he was a complete idiot, I'd always say best of luck, shake his hand, look him in the eyes and say best of luck and go from there. Which you're not going to get on well with everybody. Everybody can't get on in this room. So you're going to have people where you have to buy into the team surrounding. You do this shift, you wish him good luck. You look out for him on the pitch if you're playing, no matter who he is, and you take it as a team environment. That comment can be lost loads of different ways, and it wasn't meant anyway like that. So we'll nip that in the bud in terms of being nasty to him or being horrible. Because I've already had enough of that shite from Stephen Ireland at the time, if you remember right. So forget about it, move on, team players, and trust me, well, no, I'll be quiet.
Can we talk about Stephen Ireland now?
Do you know what I mean? You can't win, can you? So with Stephen Ireland is again a case for other people to have their say and go from there.
Shay Given was on last week, said he saw Stephen Ireland playing five-a-side a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, he was all about coming out and playing again.
Why not? Was he the most... So obviously you played with Robbie and Duffer. Was he on that level at his best?
He could see a pass. If you make a run, you know Stephen Ireland can find you. So he played in some of my early games, he would have played in teams with me. So for sure, he's got the ability to find the pass. You'd always prefer if he was playing to a certain degree because you know if you make a run, he'll find you.
It's mad. I first came across Stephen Ireland. I was at a Galway United Cove Ramblers game years and years ago. And half time there was the Matt Busby school, and they had like this kid won the Matt Busby, five-a-side, or he won the skills or whatever, and he was on the pitch at half time, and they introduced him, his name was Stephen Ireland. And little did I know, years later I'd hear that his granny passed away, and so on.
Well, I was beside him when it did.
When the granny...
he was literally sitting there when she passed away. So where do you go with that?
Talk us through that moment.
And I can tell you, I was a good team player. Sorry, pal. Hopefully, look after your family, go home. That's exactly what I said. So I am a good team player.
And what happened next?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Stephen Ireland that.
Or the granny.
The granny, yeah. But having said that, listen, he was a fantastic player. He really was. He was good on the ball. He was one of the Irish players that we've had over the years that could see a good pass. And
the first goal in Croke Park against Wales.
Yeah.
His home debut.
Yeah.
This current team then, because we're just 3 weeks away now from the playoff against Slovakia. The rivalry in that team has obviously been Seamus Coleman and Matt Doherty, and the irony is that they get on very well and are probably the best mates in that squad. Seamus Coleman's out. You know Matt Doherty very well. You do a little bit of work with him. You know him from starting off at Wolves. Like the level he's got to, I think it's only Van Dijk has scored the same amount of goals as from, whether you call him a defender or not, over the last couple of seasons. From when you remember him coming over first to England, are you surprised at the level he's got to?
No, because you see the ability he has to defend. I know he plays as a wing-back now. I've never seen him scoring that many goals from a wing-back, but I think that comes from getting a feeling of scoring goals to playing in a team that has got loads of talent. Anywhere you look in the team, it's got really good players. We were talking about Wolves earlier. They're a really good team. But what I would say, he's developed his mind to get the most out of it. And what he has done this year is enable himself to go on again another level to get to the next level. So it's not just a one-season wonder he's had. He's now looking at setting goals of trying to get Wolves in the Champions League and then trying to get Ireland in the Euros, and then you're looking at a summer move to a top 4 club because he's certainly playing that well. If he gets the move, obviously Wolves will determine where he goes, but he's certainly good enough now to play in a Spurs, to play in an Arsenal team, to play in United's team. Mamasaka's done okay, but...
Would you leave Wolves, though? Why would he leave that Wolves
Why
team?
would he leave Wolves? Because everything... If Nuno leaves Wolves in the summer, if buts and maybes, then will it be the same? And do you get maximised? He's 28 years of age. Can he go and play for an Arsenal? He supports Arsenal. Can he play for the Spurs? Can he play for a team that's so-called big teams? Wolves are a big team now. Make no mistake about it. They are gone up a level that they are on the edge of Europa League every year for the next couple of years.
You're going to want to play a style of football. Like if he moves to Spurs, for example, is he going to be as effective at Spurs as he is for a team that totally suits his philosophy? Like,
right now, it suits him perfectly. But if he goes through his career just playing for Wolves, he might just have a if, buts and maybes moment. Why didn't I go play for Spurs? Why didn't I go play for...
He's talking very like an agent over there.
Oh, yeah. I definitely think you should move.
Well, this is interesting because I remember this conversation about 6 years ago in relation to Seamus Coleman at Everton. Seamus was playing a level of football about 5-6 years ago, as good as any full-back in the world. And at that time, I felt Seamus could have played for any of the top teams, Real Madrid, Barcelona, whoever they were. He was playing that well. The defensive side of his game had improved. He was the best attacking right back around, confidence, maturity levels. And the argument then was he could go, he could jump from Everton. But just whatever the reason was, timing, contract-wise, it never happened for Seamus. I don't know whether his heart was too close to Everton. I don't know what the reasons were, but Seamus never made that jump. And I look back from an outsider looking at Seamus. I don't know Seamus well, but even I feel a bit cheated that he never made that jump, because Seamus for me probably would have had 3, 4, 5 trophies easily at the top clubs. He was good enough, but it didn't happen for whatever reason. Matt might be approaching that time now. It was, and sometimes it's just time, and sometimes you have to fight your way out. And you've got to be mean. You've got to be mean. You've got to bang at the manager's door. You've got to kick up a fuss. You've got to go and strike almost at times. You've got to fight your way out the door to get that big move. I don't think Seamus, the nature of the man, he was prepared to do that at Everton. It'd be interesting to see what transpires with Matt over the next year or so.
I agree there. Sorry.
There's no bigger move for him, really, unless it's Man City or Liverpool within the Premier League that you could guarantee, because Wolves are pretty much an up-and-coming force. The rest of them are a bit of a mismatch.
Well, I'd talk to the agent over there. I assume that the wages that those clubs can offer are far superior to what Wolves can offer.
Yes and no. I think if somebody comes in and offers money for Matt Doherty, they will match what they have to match him to get him to that level to keep him. But going back to, I think Irish players find it hard to get out of clubs. Why? Because I had it myself, where I went and I knocked on the door and I sweared, I cursed, I cried. I did everything to get out the door, to go to Everton actually, at the time. What are you laughing at? So, but the next day, I come in, I trained I trained like a soldier the next day. But I wish I'd just come in, boot a few balls about, kick up a fuss. Like, the French boys will come in, if they want out, they're getting out. They'll just down tools, they won't train. Because I think Irish players have a heart. I think they want to try. They have their families looking at them, they don't want to see him, he's chucked in the towel. We don't do it. We can't do it.
Yeah, it's a shame. They used to, of late, the last couple of years, there's been a strong argument. We haven't got enough players playing at the highest level. We used to have a huge number of players playing for the top 4 clubs. And I never quite bought into the argument, because for me, we always had a number of players who would actually play at that level. But for whatever reason, I'm talking about Seamus, the opportunity never arrived for that move to happen for whatever reason. I think Matt Doherty's getting to that level at the moment. Enda Stevens, for me, at Sheffield United is a great story. I mean, there's a lot of talk of the big clubs. Chelsea at the moment, say, for example, are going to spend big, probably in the summer, on a left-back. And they'll scour Europe and probably spend a huge amount of money, 30 to 50 million on the left-back. Now, Enda Stevens will never get a mention. When the half a dozen names are getting banded around, who's going to be Chelsea's next left-back, I can guarantee you Enda Stevens won't be in the running. But for me, there's an argument this season to say Enda Stevens is probably one of the most complete left-backs in the Premiership. The defensive side to his game, how productive he is in the opposition half the pitch. There's a strong argument for me to say that Enda Stevens could play in that Chelsea team and hold his own. So sometimes I think almost we talk down our players a little bit. The technical ability of our players, I think, is absolutely phenomenal. And it just seems at the moment we have a pool of young players just kind of bubbling to the surface. Hopefully over the next 2 to 4 years, probably under Stephen Kenny going forward, we're going to see these players burst through. And I think the argument that the young players aren't there, we haven't got the talent, we haven't got the talent pool, where have all these good players gone? For me, it doesn't stand up. They've always been there. They've always been, whether playing at the League of Ireland schoolboy level here or over in England under 23 football. The quality is there. The natural talent that we've always possessed is still there in front of us. And I think we're going to see a bit of that getting tapped into over the next few years.
Sorry, Kenny. I think there's a better pool of players coming through now than there has been for the last 7 or 8 years.
Possibly ever.
Possibly ever. From what I see by going to games is that there's some young players out there that can really express themselves. But then you've got Jose Mourinho, on the other hand, that's talking down Troy Parrott.
Like, we've Obafemi scoring goals for Southampton and starting fairly regularly, possibly our 4th choice under 21 forward at the moment. Genuinely.
Yeah, and Adam Ida is a complete footballer, just needs the games now to develop.
Aaron Connolly again.
Connolly.
We got 4 centre forwards. You mentioned Troy, Adam Ida, Aaron Connolly.
Afalabi.
Yeah, Obafemi. I mean, that's an amazing talent pool of centre forwards. It wasn't too long ago we were talking about where's the next Robbie Keane, and there's no centre forwards in the country.
I think we got the next Roy Keane, the closest thing to Roy Keane I've seen in Jason Malumbi in terms of his attitude, from what I hear from speaking to people. I know it's a big shout, but I do like his attitude. I do like how he goes about it.
I'm feeling good about the future after Kenny's little motivational speech, which I hope Stephen Kenny takes advantage of sometime. The here and now in those attacking players, 1 or 2 of them might make McCarthy's squad. It's hard to see any of them starting over in Slovakia. What can he do, Kenny, in the space of 3 or 4 days to get this group of players creating chances, scoring goals, which they didn't do throughout that campaign?
Well, we only need to create 1 chance and score 1 goal, and that may well be enough. We're not prolific goal scorers, and I don't think you have to be necessarily to get through these next 2 games. We've got to be defensively resolute. If we keep 2 clean sheets, we're going to be heading to the Euros in the summer. It's as simple as that. So you make the argument. I suppose it's perspective, really. You make the argument, how are we going to create this huge amount of chances, score the amount of goals that we need? I don't think of that thought process. I think, how are we going to keep a clean sheet? Because I know by experience, if we keep a clean sheet in Slovakia, we'd probably end up winning that game. And likewise in the final, if it is going to be in Belfast. So for me, it's always a happy balance between that defensive solidity, being difficult to beat, and actually not conceding chances, and not creating a half full of chances like you're suggesting. At international football, that's very rarely the case. You're lucky if you create maybe 2 or 3 very good chances during the course of 90 minutes, if you're lucky. So I'll settle for that. I actually think we have the players there to do it, and I've got confidence in Mick. I think the spirit is good amongst the players. Hasn't been perfect in the qualifying campaign. Yeah, I know you're raising your eyebrows,
I was going to say, Johnny, he can see you. You're right beside him.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
No. Someone's giving out about my mic being too close.
Yeah. Unlike Stephen, I'm not going to fall out. I'm not going to fall out with you. No, I hear where you're coming from, but I really feel as if I'll wait to see what team Mick puts on the pitch. But I think he's going to be loyal to the majority of the senior players in the squad. James McCarthy coming back gives it an additional option in central midfield. So I think we can strike the balance going over to Slovakia, keeping that clean sheet, and then maybe countering them and getting that all-important winning goal. I've got quite a lot of confidence, actually, in the squad. I think we'll do it.
Slovakia, for me, are, from what I hear, they're not on the boil. There's a bit of disgruntled in behind the scenes, so I think we'll beat Slovakia away.
What do you know? You can't just say that.
No,
what have you heard?
Listen, from what I know, they're not...
From your Slovakian
contact in Slovakian football.
Yeah, who's your source?
Come on.
I'll be there.
You know
what are you hearing?
He knows a horse trainer in Slovakia. Give him the skinny on the game.
No, I actually think we'll beat Slovakia. I think we'll hopefully keep a clean sheet. I think it's key that we do keep a clean sheet. And then I think we'll score a goal. I think David McGoldrick scoring a goal last night will give him a bit of confidence. He's first of the season, really, but he's more to that at the moment. But he's got his mojo with Ireland, David McGoldrick, at the moment. He's playing really well. When he's played for us, he's been excellent. So I think he'll go with McGoldrick up front, and hopefully he scores a goal.
I just hope that, Italia 90 was all about, literally, we didn't win a whole game. And as much as we celebrated, we barely scored a goal. And Kenny is hoping we get to the Euros by basically not conceding in the next 2 games. I just hope this is the end of Irish football in that kind of context or narrative, as much as I agree with him at this moment. I think in Stephen Kenny's era, I think that'll be gone.
Not easy keeping clean sheets, John. Not easy.
It'd be nice to score, though.
It's a bonus. Yeah. It's a bonus if you score.
We are here with thanks to Paddy Power ahead of Cheltenham, where racing fans live for those 4 days in March when Irish success is within touching distance. For information on responsible gambling, visit dunlewy.net. This is just a warm-up act. Stephen Hunt is going to be back with us, but Kenny, I think you're done. Thanks a lot.
I know my limitations. I won't be joining in on the...
Have you any tips? Tips for
the
anybody?
Horse spiel.
No tips?
No more gins for Stephen on the armchair.
Coming up in just...
talking rubbish now.
Coming up in just a moment, we're going to be joined on stage by Katie Walsh, Johnny Murtagh, Frank Hickey and Paddy Power. We'll take a short break. You can grab yourself a drink, run to the Jacks. But for now, give it up for Kenny Cunningham.